Welcome to Faith Positive Radio with Dr. Joey Fawcett, the Christian business coaching conversation that increases your faith with greater joy at work so you love God and others more. Dr. Joey interviews Christian business professionals just like you to discover their secrets for working faith positive in a negative world. Welcome to Faith Positive Radio with Dr. Joey Fawcett.
Hey, Faith Positive Nation, Dr. Joey Fawcett here with another great episode of Faith Positive Radio. And I am excited for all the episodes, but can I just say really excited for today? Because I get to interview a friend of mine whom I met a few years ago, who is a coach and also a college professor. And she is amazing. I'm going to tell a quick story about her, okay? Is it okay if I tell a quick story about you?
Sure.
All right. So as we're recording this, our younger daughter, my younger daughter, is pregnant with our very first grandchild. And the little princess, as I call her, is due in a couple of months, maybe 2.5 months. And so Janet is the proud grandmother of 4. What do your grandkids call you?
Gigi.
Gigi. I thought that was it. So Janet Walls is my guest today, by the way. And so Gigi Walls, right? So Gigi is telling me this story about her grandchildren and how she, from the time they're born, she cradles their little faces in her hands and she looks at them and she tells them that they are fearfully and wonderfully made. Mm-hmm. So one of the first things that ran through my mind when our Elizabeth said she's pregnant was Janet Wall's story about holding her grandchildren's face in her hands and telling them that they're fearfully and wonderfully made. So it's that kind of spiritual sensitivity and insight and amazing ability that Janet brings to Delta Blvd Coaching, which is a company that she owns. You can go to deltablvd.com, and that's Blvd, the abbreviated version of Boulevard, deltablvd.com. And you can check out all the amazing things that Janet does. Janet's a coach. She works with individuals. She works with client companies as well. Is very, very active in her church, Brentwood Baptist Church in Franklin, Tennessee. Well, Brentwood, it's near Franklin,
yes.
Right?
Yes.
The people in Tennessee are saying, Joey, come on now.
That's all right. We are actually all over Middle Tennessee. So we have 9 campuses now. So,
that's amazing.
Yes.
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
that's great.
Good. Mm-hmm.
And so she is amazing. So what we're going to do today, if you've ever been interested in coaching, if you've been coached or you're interested in being coached, you're going to learn a lot today about how faith intersects with coaching, right? And I must say that I'm very blessed for Janet to be a member of our Get Positive Coach community. So Faith Positive Nation, help me welcome Janet Walls to Faith Positive Radio. Janet, welcome and thanks for your time today.
Oh, thank you, Joey. I'm so excited to be here and to share a little bit about my calling and my work and my ministry. That's all interwoven together into Delta Blvd.
Wonderful. So tell us about your calling.
Yeah. So I am, that's a long story that I'm going to try to make short. So I believe in that we're all fearfully and wonderfully made, and we're all created for a unique purpose, and that we're here while we're here on this earth, that we are here to draw others toward God and toward Christ and to be kingdom builders. And so that intertwines in my work. I don't think that you can separate that, whether you're in true ministry or in the corporate world. It's just a part of who I am, whether I'm in the classroom or working with C-suite leader, or working with a grad student, coaching that him or her. I mean, it's all part of what I do. So that's a bit of my calling. I think that I spent 25 years in the corporate world before I started my business, and even when I was in the corporate world, I had nicknames like Sister Mary Janet Have I ever shared that with you?
No, you haven't.
Okay. Well,
Sister Mary Janet, huh?
we'll have
Like,
a nice
do you wear
story.
different clothes or something from
No,
everybody else?
no, no. I don't really know where the sister part came in. That there was a direct correlation to the fact that I was somehow, spreading love and
Oh,
trying
wow.
be that person for even in that corporate setting. So
How
anyway,
beautiful is that people recognized Christ in you,
yeah,
right? So that's
yeah.
who they were responding to.
Thanks. Um, yeah, it's I guess when it's just a part of me and it's hard
Hmm.
to separate, and I don't want to separate it. So
No, it is who you are as much
yeah,
as the color of your eyes or your fingerprint. The
yeah.
image and likeness of God's implanted in you, and it just flows forth from you, Sister Mary Janet. So may I just call you Janet for short? Would that
Yes, you may.
Okay.
Mary is nowhere in my given name either, so I don't know where that was just part of the whole sisterhood thing. But
Yeah.
so I 12 years ago when I started Delta Boulevard, it started it as a consulting company, and I spent some time with an executive coach really exploring kind of what was next steps.
Mhm.
And I decided I would give myself a year to explore that, and
Mhm.
didn't really take that long. That's another story for another day. But
Uh-huh.
um, I, I was looking at kind of three different buckets. I said, I love ministry. I love teaching.
Mhm.
And I really enjoy encouraging people.
Mm.
And so as we started exploring different things, my business started evolving and moving from less consulting and more one-on-one coaching.
Mhm.
And so the business has continued to grow. I've been blessed to work with some amazing clients
Mm.
across a variety of industries and disciplines and
Mhm.
roles. And it's just great. I
Mm.
love what I do.
So how does your faith impact your coaching?
So my faith impacts my coaching because what I tell my clients and really even before we enter a coaching and client relationship, we have what's called a chemistry interview, which is common in the coaching world. And that's just where you determine, am I the right fit for you? And then I'm assessing readiness for change. Is this person really ready
Mhm.
to commit to the process of coaching, and are they committed to growth and learning?
Mhm.
And so
Yeah.
during that chemistry interview, I always tee it up and, tell the potential client that I'm an executive coach and I'm focused on leadership development, but that I'm going to work with the whole person
Mm.
because I don't believe you can separate. And so you have a physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual side.
Mhm.
And I always end with spiritual because I like to read their body language when I say. And
Yeah. Do they lean in or do they
yeah,
cross their arms and lean back, right?
yeah, yeah. And that's part of my whole assessment process. But I believe
Mhm.
that God brings me my clients and that
Mhm.
most of my clients come from word of mouth referral. And so, the word is kind of out that I integrate this whole, faith side into the coaching process.
Mhm.
And really just do that based on client preference. I mean, coaching in and of itself it's truly driven by the client's agenda, not the
Mhm.
coach's agenda.
Right.
And so, but I invite them into that process of integrating all of that because I believe it impacts how we show up and do whatever we do.
Mm. Mm. What are some of the challenges that you face in coaching persons today?
Mm. So I think the biggest challenge that I see, well, two probably, but one is just the impact of technology
Mm.
on the person being able to um, focus and be present where they are, at any given point in time. I feel like people are pulled in a lot of different directions, and in some cases have trouble unplugging. And so what this has done is had a huge impact on creativity, on problem solving, on critical thinking. And so, I try to, one of the things we love, about the coaching time, most of the client, and when I say we, my client and myself, is that, it's a technology-free zone. And so it's nice that, if nothing else, they're unplugging for that period of time and focusing. But I think that's one thing I see. Another big trend that I'm seeing is that more and more people, especially, I see this a lot in the MBA program that I coach in, is this disillusionment with the things that used to be attractive, So,
like what?
well, like going after the big investment banking career and, the time commitment that might take and what that will mean for their family life, what that will mean for, their health, their physical health. And so there's this, to me, there's this earlier examining of sort of what's important and what's how they really want to shape their life. I see it happening earlier than it did in my generation. So I don't know
maybe
if
this generation has seen our generation and the price we paid for doing those things and the collateral damage that it created.
Yeah, I do think that has impacted it. And
what are some of the questions that they're asking to assess, is it worth it? I mean, that seems to be the big question there.
Yeah. Like, I'm not sure that I'm doing what I'm created to do, or I'm not sure that this is really going to be fulfilling for me. I want to have an impact beyond a financial impact on my family. I want my legacy to be different. And I mean, this is coming from a top tier business school, so it's kind of it's been an interesting trend to observe. I see it also earlier in the executive level positions that I'm coaching. When I say earlier, I mean with younger executives. Like normally for a while we would see that in, when they were getting close to midlife, or 55 or 60
Gotcha.
or 65.
Now you see it in the 30s.
Yeah, now you're seeing it in your younger executives. And so it's interesting. It's fun to explore that.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I just recently, and I have no idea when I record these, when they'll show up in the schedule, but I recently interviewed Matt Troop, who's the CEO of Conway Regional Health System in Conway, Arkansas. And his real emphasis was around the meaning of work as the CEO and helping the employees of that healthcare system discover their meaning in work. Yes. And so here I am hearing you talk about some of the challenges today in coaching is to help persons who are asking this question: what's the meaning of work? How do I create harmony, is the way I like to talk about it, between my work and my other relationships, such as family and things like that. So that's really a spiritual pursuit, isn't it, Janet?
Oh, for sure. It's a spiritual pursuit. That's why I love it so much. I'm like, ooh, this is going to be good. Yes, it is. Yeah. I mean, it's just, it's a spiritual milestone, right? When they discover that and make that connection. And I love that exploration. So, yeah. And, at the meaning of work, that there's so much to that too. There's a lot of, literature out there on that and research. And, we are created to work, right? And
Right.
so,
Yeah. Yeah. Before
and
the fall, we were
that's
working.
right.
We were
That's
organizing the
right.
garden, right? And naming
That's
animals and
right.
things like that.
That's right. And for those of us, I think I could include both myself and you in this category who
Hmm.
really do feel like we're working in our calling
Mm.
and
Yes.
our, love our work,
Yes.
then it, it takes on a whole different meaning and,
Hmm. Hmm.
you don't, I had a new client ask me just last week if my work was, how did she put it? She said, how do you feel at the end of the day? She said, I can't imagine doing the work that you do at that level of intensity and not being tired. And I said, I go
Huh.
home and I am so energized.
That's
I,
right.
I said, I just think that's how I know that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yes, because the
um
meaning quotient is very high. The relevance
sure.
is there. You're living out of your calling, and so it's
Mhm.
fulfilling. Now, contrast that, Janet, with the latest Gallup poll I saw indicated that 85% of all American workers said that they were dissatisfied or very dissatisfied. That is, disengaged from their work. Those are the people going home tired.
That's right.
So how do we in this spiritual pursuit then find meaning in our work? What
Mm-hmm.
are some of the things that make for meaningful work?
Mm. Well, I mean, I think the things that make for meaningful work are when you're doing what you're called to do.
Okay.
It's a simple answer, but it's not a simple answer to find. I
Right.
mean,
It's simple to
that
say, but
the
it's
solution is
not
simple.
easy.
Yeah, yeah. Um, because, and I mean, I do think there's so many things that cloud our perspective or
Mm,
that clutter our mind and, everything
mhm.
from our, past belief systems to,
Right.
messages that we've heard all throughout our life, whatever it is.
Hmm.
Um, and
Previous work experiences.
sure.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Hmm.
So, yeah, I, I don't, I don't underestimate at all the courage it takes for some people to, embrace that. But there's a lot of freedom in that too. So,
There really is, and a lot more energy at the end of the day too, right,
yes,
Janet?
yes.
Yeah.
I need that for 4 grandkids.
Indeed you do, especially as closely as two of them live, right?
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and you and I both have a great appreciation for the whole field of positive psychology, and we know that Dr.
Yeah.
Sean Aker in writing The Happiness Advantage talks about job, career, calling as this continuum,
Mm,
and working out of calling really creates more happiness, or as we're talking about here, energy. So you can just draw a paycheck and be fatigued, or you can climb the ladder and, as Covey said, maybe one day discover it's leaning against the wrong wall, right?
yeah.
Unless you're living into and out of your calling. And
Mm,
that really is a spiritual pursuit, as you're talking about. So a coaching relationship is a great way to discover that internal affirmation about, why am I here? What's my purpose? How can I give meaning to my work because of my purpose? But Janet, talk a minute about that external confirmation. That is the people around you who
mhm.
can help you discover and lean into your calling.
Yeah. It's a great question. And because, one of the things we do, especially in a coaching engagement, is what's called a 360 assessment.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're gathering insight and data points from all of our what we call stakeholders in a
Mm-hmm.
pure 360 assessment, but that
Right.
is, people that know us best.
Mm-hmm.
Our boss, our former bosses, our peers, our direct reports, our clients
Yeah.
and customers. I
Yeah.
love to get input from family also when appropriate because I think that is, those are some significant data points to also
Mm-hmm.
add to the
Mm-hmm.
assessment. But I
Mm-hmm.
I think if we, um, it's funny in my class this morning when I was meeting with my students in the kind of a cohort um, that we do on Monday mornings. we were talking about the practice of being not just reflective, but reflexive. And that reflexive thinking and thought process is digging to deeper levels than just reflecting. And what that means is that, if we're observant, there's information there and, all around us. So people are speaking it to us, those of us who are Christians believe that the Holy Spirit is, and that's one of the things I love about a coaching relationship that is intertwined with faith is I can listen to the Holy Spirit while I'm coaching someone, and the Holy Spirit is speaking to them. And so there's, there's that, I wouldn't call that external, I'd call that internal, but it's still that influence that I really believe people do have access to everything they need to discover that. I feel like so many times they don't know how to access it, or it's covered up, with years.
By all the layers of those previous experiences and different things we're talking about. So that's the beauty of the coaching process, right?
That's right.
Asking those questions so that we reflect, and then reflexive to really, what does this mean? And what does it mean for me in terms of who I am? And then we create meaning from work. And so every day becomes more of a journey than it is a chore, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Janet Walls is an amazing executive coach. She's with Delta Boulevard, also a part of our Get Positive Coach community. So Janet, Faith Positive Nation always wants to know from our guest about a favorite Bible verse or Bible passage. And yes, I know it's hard to choose. It's like choosing from those 4 grandkids, right? Which one's your favorite? Well, we're not going to ask you to do that for all the world here, because I know they're all your favorite. But what about a favorite Bible verse or Bible passage that has particular meaning for you? What's that?
Well, there are so many, but the one that really resonates right now is the Psalm 139 passage. That's, the whole chapter is so rich.
It is.
But, the fact that, that God knew us before we were ever born, that he knit us together in our mother's womb, and we are fearfully and wonderfully made. And what that means is that we're created for a purpose that's unique to us, or unique to the individual. And that, our role is to discover that and to be faithful to that, right? So that is why I speak that to my grandbabies, and want them to know that that it's almost like the sooner you can discover that, the more fulfilling your life will be, because there's no one else like that, and they are created for a unique purpose to glorify God, and through that work, and fearfully and wonderfully made.
And the Father loves each and every one of us enough to make us unique and speak those words over us each and every day of our lives. Faith Positive Nation, you see why I find Janet Walls such a dear friend and a great inspiration. Thank you, Janet, for sharing. You can go to deltaboulevard.com, email her at janet@deltaboulevard.com. And of course, both of those, the email address and the website address, are on Janet's page at getpositive.today. So just go to getpositive.today and search for her. If you're walking the dog, walking yourself, or commuting, that's what I've heard. I walk myself every morning. The dog slows me down because he's searching everywhere for smells, right? But just go to Janet's page there on our website, and you can connect with her for executive coaching, to talk to her about some of the classes that she leads for an amazing business school. And just make a connection with Janet. Your life will be better for it. Janet, I just pray God's blessings on you, your amazing husband, your 2 great children, and especially those 4 fearfully and wonderfully made grandchildren. God bless you, and thank you for your time with us today.
Thanks. You have a great day.
Thanks for listening to Faith Positive Radio. the Christian business coaching conversation that increases your faith with greater joy at work so you love God and others more. Suggest guests and ask questions when you email Dr. Joey at info@getpositive.today. And be sure to get your free gift of the 5 positive business conversations to have today coaching program at getpositive.today. Until next time, may God bless you with everything your heart can hope for and more than your mind can imagine.